VinhLong, brave and resilient. Fighting and winning. VinhLong, united, courageous, creative, overcoming difficulties, moving forward. 50 years, key construction projects. Breakthrough economic and social policies. Strong transformations from urban to rural areas. Continuously improving the material and spiritual lives of the people. 50 years, VinhLong always upholds aspirations, rising together with momentum and belief in development. In the early morning of May 1st, 1975, the people of VinhLong were overjoyed to welcome their brave sons and daughters who were entering the town. Joining the historic atmosphere of the entire South and the whole country. On the night of April 30th, 1975, VinhLong welcomed the powerful marching steps of troops, advancing to liberate the town center. So that the first peaceful morning of May 1st, 1975, would be historically sacred, the red flag with the yellow star flew in the joy of victory on every street. Throughout the prolonged resistance, bravely fighting through smoke, bombs, and bullets, to the difficulties and challenges of overcoming the war's aftermath, stabilizing people's lives, and gradually overcoming difficulties to develop, the party committee, government, and people of VinhLong have always been united, courageous, and creative to succeed. In those early days, people stepping out from resistance bases understood more deeply the value of peace and clearly recognized the responsibility and urgent task of overcoming war consequences and stabilizing people's lives. The war was protracted and incredibly fierce, that left behind very severe consequences. Faced with this situation, the Provincial Party Committee's policy was to ensure that for the town, the necessary conditions were maintained for the people of the town to live normally, without interruption, for any day or hour. In rural areas, the people were brought back to their old fields and gardens to overcome the consequences of war, stabilize their lives, and ensure political security. This was the premise for VinhLong to implement to strategic tasks. For the party committee, army, and people of VinhLong, who were heroic in fighting against foreign invasion, they were also determined to be glorious in building the nation and protecting the country in their own homeland. By the end of 1975, VinhLong and Tra Vinh provinces were merged to form Quy Long. The entire province had more than 1.5 million people. The reconstruction of land once plowed by bombs was carried out by authorities at all levels, and the people, throughout more than 10 years after Liberation Day, sweat-soaked the irrigation systems, power grids, and transportation networks, initially laying the foundations for infrastructure. The hands of the hardworking people restored production, reclaimed and revitalized land, overcame the local food shortages, and spurred the agricultural economy development. Agricultural land increased to rice crops annually, exceeding 2 million tons in total output. In the years 1981 to 1985, Quy Long then became the first locality in the country to complete soil and crop variety mapping. This was an important milestone, determining the future economic growth of a purely agricultural province like VinhLong. The war had just ended, so conditions were very difficult. Especially in our province at that time, agricultural production was only one crop per year. I remember that, right after liberation, food was insufficient. I recall our cadres and staff ate very little rice and mostly ate Baba Job's tares because there wasn't enough rice to eat. The Provincial Party Committee directed that our province be identified as an agricultural province and had to move from agriculture towards industry. Our biggest focus was on irrigation. We worked on production, while also improving crop varieties and increasing fertilizer use, all to increase productivity. In 1992, VinhLong province was re-established as VinhLong and Vinh provinces. VinhLong entered a phase mobilizing all resources for socio-economic infrastructure construction. Transportation and power grid were two important tasks identified by the Provincial Party Committee. Over many consecutive terms, the government and the people achieved high consensus, working together to extend electricity and open roads. By 1998, nearly 95% of communes, wards, and towns in VinhLong province had the national power grid. By 2000, electricity had reached 100% of communes, wards, and towns in the province, ensuring that all households had electricity for daily use. The policy of the government and the people worked together, fostered the strength of unity, opening up asphalt-paved roads, concrete slab roads, and sturdy concrete bridges. Provincial roads became straight and even, connecting districts to districts, communes to communes, gradually eliminating monkey bridges. From 1993 to 2000, VinhLong initially achieved successes in developing transportation infrastructure in both urban and rural areas. With efforts to overcome difficulties, nearly 20 years after liberation, VinhLong began adopting renovation policies, accompanying the country in the cause of building and developing the socio-economy. The Provincial Party Committee focused on shifting the economic structure, following the party's renovation policies on economics, striving to increase the proportion of industry and services, while developing agriculture comprehensively. To develop the economy, the focus had to be on infrastructure investment. This meant prioritizing bringing high voltage, medium voltage, and then low voltage power lines to people's homes and to production facilities, upgraded, expanded, and built the transportation infrastructure system from urban areas down to districts, communes, and hamlets. Infrastructure investment went hand in hand with economic development, which in our province relied on agriculture. Given that the province is part of the Mekong Delta, the province focused on developing several industrial zones. These industrial zones were developed to attract foreign investment and investment from other areas. To transform the economic structure, the labor structure had to be changed. The province's economic growth at times rose to double digits over 50 years. From liberation until now, it's now evident that from urban to rural areas, there has been a renewed appearance, and people's living standards have improved. After Liberation Day, VinhLong began restoring production and rebuilding rural areas severely damaged by war bombs and shells. The party and government implemented many important policies to improve rural living quality. Among them, the National Target Program on building a new countryside since 2010 had created tremendous changes, bringing new appearances to rural areas through each period. VinhLong's rural areas entered a transformation from poor and backward communes to now having 75 out of 83 communes meeting new rural standards, 35 reaching advanced new rural standards, and 10 achieving model new rural standards. This result comes from continuous efforts in implementing criteria, especially investing in rural infrastructure and transportation, that both ensures people's livelihoods and effectively serves agricultural production. 100% of communes have car-accessible roads to their centers. Hamlets connect to hamlets, communes to communes. The inner-city roads in Binh Minh Town, Vung Liam Town, and towns in Binh Tan, Traon, Long Ho, Tam Binh, and Mang Phit districts have been completed beautifully. Convenient trade, widespread power grid, clean water to people's homes, infrastructure projects for schools, health stations, residential areas, housing have been invested in, improving the material and spiritual lives of people. Rural areas are growing each day with a bright new appearance and developing rhythm that has narrowed the gap between rural and urban areas. So far, after nearly 15 years, the execution of the new Rural Development Program has led to the achievement of numerous positive results. Currently, the whole province has 75 out of 83 communes meeting the new rural standards, accounting for over 90%. To focus resources on investing in new rural development, the province has integrated it into many programs and projects, such as implementing the agricultural restructuring project, linked with new rural development work, as well as the movement. All VinhLong people join hands to build a new countryside. After 15 years of building new rural areas, the face of the countryside has completely changed. This has created great consensus from the people, as well as the joint effort and contribution of businesses. As a result, the people's material and spiritual lives have steadily improved. Remembering the period after VinhLong province was re-established in 1992, the image of a town with many shortages appears in the memories of the long-time VinhLong residents. The town's infrastructure was still backward then. Transportation was limited due to narrow roads, urban planning was not synchronized, and offices and facilities did not meet the people's living needs. With a drive to modify the look of what was once the Mekong Delta's capital a century ago, VinhLong focused on establishing and planning the province's urban system, concentrating on developing inner-city infrastructure. The province built main roads and large office buildings to promote the local socio-economic development, such as the roads Pham Tai Buong Pho Co Du, Pham Hung Nguyen Way Din Tien Wang, VinhLong City Square, Mao Then Victory Monument Park, Phuoc Tho Market, Coop Mart Supermarket, VinhLong Provincial General Hospital, Dinkum Plaza Shopping Center. These changes brought VinhLong into the 21st century, with a new appearance, becoming a modern, civilized riverside urban area. In 2020, VinhLong City was recognized as a grade to urban area, turning into the province's core urban center. Binh Minh Town achieved Grade 3 urban status. Vung Liem Town and Tran Town were recognized as grade for urban areas in 2024. The remaining districts have all built towns that meet Grade 5 urban standards. Looking back at old memories, I see that in those days, VinhLong Town was very quiet, with sparse housing. Now, looking at the city's appearance, it has changed extremely dramatically. Changes in landscape and surroundings that are bright, green, clean, and beautiful. Houses and streets are more elegant. In the past 10 years, the development has been very fast, which has elevated VinhLong City to a new level. Being both urban civilized and beautiful, there have been significant modifications. For example, initially we only had the main road Pham Tai Buong, later adding Tran Dai Gia Road or Vo Vinh Keat Road. Now we have expanded the urban area significantly, from supermarkets to hospitals. With more hospitals, the citizens' benefits have increased, which people really appreciate. Trust is established from the things people benefit from. The time frame from 2020 to 2025. In the center of VinhLong City, several key provincial projects were completed, such as the Provincial Administrative Center, Ward 9 Park, Ship Port. These urban infrastructure works have met the increasingly high material and spiritual needs of the residents, promoted the local socio-economic development, and created green spaces for a riverside urban area. Transportation projects such as Kai Kom to Bridge, the extended Vo Vinh Keat Road, Khao Lo to Bridge, have contributed to improving the quality of urban roads, ensuring inner-city connections. Bridge after bridge, road connecting to road, creating bustling spaces, opening job opportunities, improving lives and income for the locals. With the goal of becoming a friendly and livable city, VinhLong continues to invest in many key multi-purpose projects, contributing to completing the urban infrastructure, preventing flooding and erosion, while designing landscapes and environment. The Co Chen River Embankment Project, along with renovated inner-city canals, has opened up green, clean, and beautiful urban spaces, serving the people's lives along both sides of the canals. Entering 2025, on its new development journey, VinhLong City has adaptive projects, yet harmonious living spaces, affirming the position of the former Long Ho Citadel area and a modern riverside urban area today. The roads are clean, gorgeous, and spacious, whereas also providing plenty of open space. Looking at the overall landscape, the city's space has changed. Life quality has also improved. starting as a purely agricultural province. By the 2020 to 2025 period, VinhLong's economy has seen many improvements, with emphasis on high-tech agriculture, gradually shifting thinking from agricultural production to agricultural economy, growing the local and global farm markets, continuing to develop industrial production in depth, increasingly creating more branded products, with market competitiveness and participation in value chains. The goal by 2030 is for VinhLong to be one of the agricultural centers of the Mekong Delta region, developing high-tech, ecological agriculture. Additionally, the goal of economic restructuring is still being promoted by the province. The period 2001 to 2010 could be considered as the development phase of industrial zones lines, with very clear changes in economic structure. To attract investment and develop the economy, VinhLong has completed the infrastructure and effectively exploited existing industrial zones. Like Hoa Phu and Binh Minh, developed the Co Chen industrial line, covering about 30 hectares, created clean ground to attract investment for new industrial zones, such as Gilamex VinhLong, which was rebranded from Binh Tan Industrial Zone, Dong Binh Industrial Zone, to create momentum for the provincial economic growth. Industrial zones infrastructure is still drawing interest and guidance for investment attraction, contributing to shifting economic structure towards increasing the proportion of industry and construction, creating jobs for the local people, and generating additional revenue for the local budget. VinhLong possesses crucial potential and advantages. First, considering its geographical location and development space, VinhLong is situated on an industrial-urban development axis of the Mekong Delta region, connecting from Kinh Tha to Long An and linking with Ho Chi Minh City. Furthermore, VinhLong has the foundation of Hoa Phu Industrial Zone, which has been very successful, attracting many investors recently. Coming up, there is great potential for the Binh Minh Industrial Zone in the future. VinhLong clearly recognizes the path to sustainable the socio-economic development for a purely agricultural province is to concentrate resources on developing infrastructure, especially transportation infrastructure, the bloodline of the economy. In 2000, the milestone of the century's construction project, Viet Nam Bridge, launched the province into a new era of integration and growth, connecting the arterial transportation of the entire Mekong Delta region. Simultaneously, this was a key foundation for VinhLong's industrialization and modernization drive, opening opportunities to attract investment, creating momentum for breakthrough growth for the VinhLong's economy in subsequent periods. 10 years later, the cable-stayed bridge, with the longest main span in Southeast Asia, stretched across the Hao River, directly connecting VinhLong and Kinh Tha on National Highway 1A, facilitating trade with the southwestern provinces. 23 years after the inauguration of the first bridge, Viet Nam to bridge runs parallel, connecting the two banks of the Chien River, creating a magnificent work, bearing strong Vietnamese imprints and stature, extending the aspirations of Delta residents. Viet Nam to bridge connects the two expressways, Trung Luong Viet Nam and Viet Nam Kinh Tha, enhancing the transport system, reducing pressure on National Highway 1A, forming a longitudinal transportation corridor in the Mekong Delta, promoting the socio-economic growth in the southwest, specifically VinhLong. The pair Viet Nam bridges enhance the beauty of the vast, fertile land and long rivers of VinhLong, becoming a source of pride for the Western people on their path to the open sea. From the starting point, as a poor, purely agricultural province, VinhLong had strived to officially achieve a relatively good development level in the Mekong Delta by 2020. The foundation of provincial infrastructure has been invested and built by VinhLong over a long journey, through many generations of passionate leaders, affirming the vision, direction, and determination of the party committee, government, and people in implementing the goal of rapid and sustainable development. Looking back at a 50-year journey of construction and connection, VinhLong has overcome many difficulties to implement projects, invest in infrastructure, and promote the provincial socio-economic development with a large development space, along with the foundation of arterial infrastructure and transportation. VinhLong is ready to enter a new phase, welcome new opportunities, full of confidence, to contribute to the country's growth. 2025 has special significance, with many important events, and is the year when we conduct party congresses at all levels, leading up to the 14th National Party Congress. With determination and effort, to overcome all difficulties and challenges, to achieve the resolution objectives for the 2020 to 2025 term and plans for the 2026 to 2030 period. The Provincial People's Committee and various levels and sectors have identified and focused on implementing major tasks and goals, promoting economic growth for the 2021 to 2025 period to ensure major balances in the economy. Besides, we maintain traditional growth drivers such as consumption, investment, and exports, and will focus on solutions to further promote new growth drivers, including digital economy, green economy, circular economy, sharing economy, and emerging industries and fields. Additionally, improve infrastructure to optimize transportation costs and time, thereby helping businesses have the conditions to grow. It's necessary to further accelerate and effectively implement the VinhLong province's planning for the period 2021 to 2030, with a vision to 2050. In the immediate future, we must focus on directing the review and completion of land planning, construction, transportation, and other functional planning in order to meet the requirements for the local socio-economic development investment. Infrastructure plays a particularly important role as a solid foundation, promoting the socio-economic development, securing the people's lives and production. Dynamic constructions and key projects are levers for the locality to gain momentum on the journey of building a rich and beautiful homeland. VinhLong today has developed urban areas, renewed rural areas, connected and integrated in the Nine Dragons land. With belief, consensus, and determination, the party committee and people of the province continue to unite, be flexible and creative, promote the value of new projects, and connect to the future with new successes.